What up, what up, what up? It's your boy Dave B. You watching Dave B on TV, where we go beyond the everyday bullshit that people be consuming on a day-to-day basis. And today, we're gonna talk about the transits. We got the full moon coming up. So, today in particular is gonna be like a nice, and I say nice. Now it's not gonna be nice for everybody, you know what I'm saying? But it's gonna be a smooth, if you've been planting the right seeds, it should be a smooth transition. If you didn't plant the right seeds, it might be a little scary right now. It might be a little freaky right now because we just going through the same thing. We kind of been going through great change, going through a whole lot of changes, going through a whole lot of transitions in between these different energies. And at the end of it all, well, let's talk about what's going on. So the moon is in Pisces. So with the moon in Pisces, Pisces energy is a water sign that's mutable. So by default, it's an energy that deals with not only your own feelings, but the feelings of others. And this is where things get mixed up, because a lot of times Pisces does too much of the putting their self in someone else's shoes. But the problem, or where it goes all wrong, is that sometimes, see, emotions are very individual to us. Like when we talk about our soul, that's a lot of times when people talk about the soul, they're referring to their feminine energies, right, within themselves. The soul, close to the moon. Right now, our feminine energies are kind of like where we come from. They're closer to the starting point of where we started to because it's like you receive, and then what we did was, after that, we put together an image, and that became the sun. And like, I don't want you to think about it in terms of like, religious stories of how the world was created and stuff like that. But this is more so just what's going on inside of us, because we receive things first. And then from what we've received, we come to we gather that information on an emotional level, and then we push out a logic, a thought form, and that becomes the masculine energy, the yang side, if you will. So what happens is with the emotional body, these things is very individual to you, very close to, when people say, oh, that's close to my heart, or when, just in general, those emotions and feelings come from you. And it's not until you express yourself that others can receive enough information to gather a conclusion, or a hypothesis, an assumption of what it is that you're actually feeling. This is why, like, people always say communication is key, because without communication, you're not conveying enough energy to or conveying enough information to whoever you're relating to, for them to understand, or or comprehend what you might be feeling. Now, water signs are predisposed to more emotional energies, based upon just them being able to connect to those energies. You see, water signs do a better job of kind of knowing. Is that somebody else's voice? Hold on. I think I heard niggas is going to school and shit. But little kids. But back to what I was saying. Water signs are predisposed to this energy simply because they're coming from an emotional place. You know what I'm saying? And when you, like, because they know, because the truth about it is, the more you know about yourself is the more you know about others, right? But how you know about others isn't by the logical means. Like somebody who's more surface level with their judgments, right, is going to be somebody who look at the logic behind somebody. And not to say you can't, because a lot of times, like, somebody who's gullible, for instance, is somebody who's going to allow what's right in front of them to be all they need to confirm, it's like they'll take anything at face value, basically. Like, that's gullible energy. Like, and that a lot of times comes from when you don't got a lot of, because see, what happens with water, and this is the gift and the curse, it can sense more of the emotional state based upon how it's feeling. But see, that's the key part, based upon how it's feeling. So sometimes our intuition, what we think is intuition, is really just what we want, or what we want, or what we believe in the situation. Like, that's like how the 12th house gets mixed up. It's like, based upon how you feel in the space you're in, it's going to determine how you make sense of the world. So if you're walking around saying, oh, this is my intuition, a lot of times you might think it's intuition. Now, real intuition is coming from, it's not really coming from, see, it's when you actually are in a space in which you're clear from any strong emotional ties to a certain outcome. When you got strong emotional ties to a certain outcome, this is where you lean, like this is where you leave being able to have clairvoyance and use intuition. You move more into um the negative side of that, which is expectation. You believe in a certain thing, therefore it becomes your reality. And I say it's on the negative end because you could do that on the positive end, but it's negative when, say, you have negative feelings about the world around you. So you, from the emotional space you're in, you assume everybody around you is doing you dirty. So what happens is you internalize that, and that becomes what you think is your intuition. Now you move in a way that that not only, again, proves yourself right, but it manifests even more situations to make that the center point and focus of your life. So this is how you build negative, not only circumstances, but this is how you give yourself like a distraction. It's almost like you give yourself a B story. You give yourself a side quest. See, when we're not moving in the middle path, when we're not like balancing our lives, going through, because we all going through shit, but it's like if you're not actively balancing yourself, right, you're gonna get distracted, you're gonna get sidetracked, you're not gonna be on what we call God's mission. Now, God's mission ain't got nothing to do about this world. It's really your journey as a spirit. And see, that's the thing too, just to kind of go back and just tie that point up real quick. The soul is tied to your emotional body, but your solo experience, your individual experience, emotional, like that's coming from, because those emotional bodies are what space you originated at, basically. So the space you originated at becomes what you can claim as your solo space. You know what I'm saying? That's your solo space. And that solo space develops a look based upon how you choose to be seen, depending on your angle of going about those feelings and um what you do to basically provide for those feelings. Like if we're thinking about masculine energy and feminine energy, right? That feminine energy is like where things start from, but then what's pushed out is something that support, like that's why it's like it's something that supports the female first. You know what I'm saying? Because it's like it's funny. A lot of arguments today, especially surrounding relationships, are all about, oh, the men aren't doing this, the women aren't doing this. But see, you fail to realize that the reason there's such of a back and forth is because nobody, like, really, there's a lot of reasons why today's relationships are go the way they go. I don't really want to get into that on this video because then, it's, I don't know, it's a far tangent. But to make this simple, there needs to be a balance. It's both parties' job to support each other. And this goes within any partnership, because a lot of times what happens is, because of how society is the narratives that society has pushed, right? It's created ways in which people think, people's thought process. It's affected people's thought process, and now the way they put together information is in the framework of someone else's mind, not their own. So this is what we mean when we say people today don't have their own mind. Now, because the framework is modified, right? And this is when we say GMO is genetically modified, because it's not a framework that originated from that spirit. So therefore, and you can consider this whatever you want. I consider this universal law. Like, because it didn't originate from that spirit, anything that spirit chooses to do ain't gonna be right necessarily. It's not going to be true to them. And see, sometimes, because I don't even want to say it like that too much, but it's like, it's really, when you have your own mind and you know your intent, no matter what you choose to do, another individual might not understand it, but they can sense the truth in it. Unless they just want to be like, some people are resistant to that, but there's always going to be a small piece of them that still, like, high key respects you, might not tell you, but whenever we like, it's like spirits, we can see when something is actually coming from, like, especially if you're on your journey, right? And you know yourself to a degree. When you know yourself, when you see other people being themselves, a person who really knows themselves knows how to allow everybody. It's like the way we look at space in general is free. So we don't, like, a person who truly knows themselves doesn't feel the need to judge or restrict another person's true self. A lot of times you get people who don't know themselves. These be the first people who want to combat people and debate people and fight people based upon them feeling threatened because they don't know themselves. So they pick the predetermined space, aka things that came from their framework, the society's framework. And I'm using society's framework because, again, you got to understand how you were born. You were born into a system. So you got to understand that, before you even get to the truth, you got to unravel what's been thrown in front of your face that you were raised on. And this becomes a very, this is like that spiritual awakening that everybody talk about, where you start to see, there's more to life than just what this framework is. But see, someone who isn't able to, grasp onto their own mind, like, and like kind of see through the framework, break through it, and develop their own thoughts and feelings about things. These be the people who live life very afraid. And this is why they cling to things like religion, even if they're atheists. That's a religion, because it's the way in which they teach you. They give you a box again. They say, you don't believe in our religion? Okay, well, here's a religion that says you don't believe in no religions. And people, you might get frustrated hearing it like that, but that's really what it is. They just gave you something to kind of like, okay, like, they give you a framework. This is when we talk about the magic square. This is what it is, right? But the question always becomes, what do we do about it? What you do about it, the solution is, you have to see beyond that shit. Get to know yourself. And this is when you really get into that, again, space of all possibilities. This is when you get into your energy. And once you get into your energy, you can start to develop your own feeling. And that's important for today, because it's a numerology 5 day. That's numerology 5 is all about your own feeling, your individual feeling. 4 is about your individual thought. That was the numerology yesterday. So when you're looking at this stuff, that's what it comes down to at the very like the simplest point, being a one-of-a-kind individual, like developing your own individual way of feeling about yourself, about the world, and then a thought. The feeling, knowing yourself, directly correlates with how well you'll be able to, because the thing about our lives too is we go through many different experiences in this lifetime, right? So your feelings are going to change, you know what I'm saying? But for the most part, it's like you got to grow and give yourself space to change. But for the most part, when you really develop a purpose, and even if your purpose, because see, you might, like, I don't know if I want to go to, because it's like when you develop a purpose, this is you making a commitment to yourself. But see, you're only going to make, it's like your purpose can change, you know what I'm saying? It's not fixated, but you got to make it fixated. And see, you make it fixated based upon how true it is, because the closer you get to your truth, whatever you choose as a purpose is going to be in alignment with that. So it's going to change, but it's going to change as far as growth. Sometimes you commit your life to something, you think it's your purpose, but life always going to, and that's the thing about it. Even if you are, you know yourself to the T, and you know you're on your purpose, you know you've been on your path, things change. And the essence of it might be the same, but again, our whole life is an experience on kind of like correcting ourselves. Our whole life is an experience or an experiment, a spiritual experiment on getting more accurate with your magic, knowing yourself, and because that's your magic, where whatever you develop a thought and feeling on and choose to work towards, like while you're here in this body, you got to put in the energy work. This becomes like, you know, patterns, routines, doing things every day, and working towards things, putting yourself in the world, relating, building, you know, going through rejection, because in life, that's the whole point, is to relate our minds. But the thing about it is they gave everybody a framework. So it like creates what we have now, which is pointless discourse about who's paying the bill, or who's right and who's wrong, because everybody's competing for the same spaces. When you unlock the code and you peep game, you take yourself out of that bullshit. And now you are in the realm, again, you start to get closer to the realm of all possibilities. That's when the world becomes yours. This is when you become a potential problem, depending on how you go about what you believe in the space you go about it, and what the shadow, you know, saying what with the, you know what I'm saying, what they see, and they like, oh, I see this gaining influence, and that doesn't align with our framework. That's getting people on some other shit. Now, if we gonna keep the system running, we need to control that. We need to make sure we got some hands in that. And see, this is when they're gonna come to you. They come to you sticky. Sometimes they come to you full force. But this is when, you know, you start to, because see, that's the problem. That's why, like, we always talk about changing the world, because what it is they have a system in place, right? And then we know the five pillars, right? So they have a system in place, and you might not know about the five pillars, but go to Dolo the Parliament's channel, and I mean, you might have to dig. You know what I'm saying? You might have to dig. I could get into it, but I can make a, yeah. I don't know. I'll probably end up making a video about it, maybe, possibly. You know what I'm saying? I don't know yet, but because depending on how I want to go about certain things, you know what I'm saying? Because that's the thing. We getting into a time where, again, we gotta, it's community time now. So it's like conversations need to be had with people you are actually associating with, rather than just, you know what I'm saying, we can keep the information on here, but it's like, as far as plans and what, you know, certain things. But for the most part, the five pillars, these are all in alignment with their way, with how they want you to think. Like, the reason you see the certain things you see on TV is because that's exactly how we want you to think about this area of life. You know, the news, this is what we want you to think is going on in the world, right? Whether it is or not is irrelevant. It's the story. Because if one thing you know about news, and if you don't, like, you know what I'm saying, like, my degree is in multimedia communications, right? And this is the number one thing they tell you, and that's like journalism, film, but what the number one thing they tell you is everything comes down to the narrative. And the narrative, and people just let this kind of go right over their head, because they eat whatever's coming off the TV as it's fact. But you got to always understand the narrative. That's why, like, if you still voting now, you got to understand all this shit is a movie. It's a story. And what they're going to do is, what do all films do? They, in the first, if you don't, and some people might not know this, but as a filmmaker, look, it's like the first thing you do is you establish a main character, and then you make people feel for them. You make them emotionally react to that person, and that creates a subconscious bond. And then what they do is they take that bond and they create a hero story. Everybody sees themselves in these stories, because at the very foundation, it's what we all feel we're doing, and it's in a lot of ways it's true, and that's why it affects so many different people, right? But they give see, they're attracted to the framework, and they understand the story, because that's the thing. Most people only understand things through things that they can see themselves in. It's like a person who has real empathy and really can understand another person is a person who is able to put themselves in someone else's shoes for a second, right? But not get lost there. And that's kind of why I was talking in the beginning, like where with mutable water, it's like putting yourself in someone's shoes, but sometimes the Pisces energy can get stuck there. And depending on what they're feeling and how their mood is, that's going to determine what kind of story it is. And then once they get the story, boom, this creates you jumping to conclusions, you assuming and judging and treating another individual or acting around another individual as if you already know the story. But here's the thing, everybody's emotional side, what they're going through is different. You don't know what another person's going through. So when you jump the gun, you manifest a situation that does more harm to you. They become unaffected, and in fact they start looking at you like you crazy, because they're like, why is that like, what does that have to do with me? So this is the space we're gonna be in for the next couple of days. I know, again, tangent time, yo. I don't know what it is, but sometimes it just take you to a whole different place, yo. But that's kind of like, that's getting deeper into what's going on in the world and how things have been, like why things are the way they are now, and kind of where the breaking point has become, like, where we can see where we see we need to make a split. You know what I'm saying? Like, that can't happen. Like, we got to stop that right now. That's why we got to change the world, because they dominate these frameworks. So the majority of the world only sees the world through these frameworks, and anything that seems opposite, they created so many different spells and witchcraft, where it's like, it's very uncomfortable mentally for anybody who's been within the system to accept any thought form or feeling that don't comply. It starts to become so mentally draining to them, because they know the truth. And it's just like, damn, you know what I'm saying? And this is why also you want to make sure that you're not just walking around pushing people into spaces that they don't belong in. Everybody needs to wake up on their own terms. You know what I'm saying? You don't need to be, because think about it, like, you just sleeping in general. If someone was running through your house screaming, you gonna be fucked up when you wake up. Mad at them, probably mad at yourself. The whole day gonna go crazy. This is like how people in their life, in their minds be. It's like, you could walk around all day shouting this, shouting that. Look, you don't got to do that. Just be yourself. AKA, take yourself, right? People in the house asleep. Go downstairs, cook you some good ass food, AKA put together some good ass thoughts and feelings, and prepare that shit and serve that shit, right? Just like if you was like, everybody had Saturday mornings, or hopefully you did, where you woke up, but you woke up on your time, but you woke up to the smell of bacon. It was like the smell of bacon or smell of sausage, whatever you eat, because some people don't even, whatever you smell in the morning, coffee, whatever it is, like, you know what I'm saying? Didn't even have to be yours, for instance. It could be your mom's coffee you smell in the morning, and that woke you up. And think about that morning. Like, those beautiful mornings, you got to get up. You was like, oh, it smelled good in the house. You went downstairs. It wasn't even your meal, but you know what I'm saying? Like, oh, somebody made coffee. That's how you know what I'm saying? That's a better experience. And what it does is it leaves you with no blood on your hands. When you shouting through the house, like waking everybody up, not everybody mad at you. And then not only, like, even if they hear you and they get up and rush throughout the day, they're gonna be thinking about that shit like, man, yo, fuck, this nigga really, he fucked my life up. Like, he you know what I'm saying? He had my morning started crazy. Like, I was doing all this crazy shit. Now I'm like kind of upset. I ain't get to do my routine. I kind of forgot some things. You thrust them into the world. And again, a lot of us, even on your spiritual journey, a lot of times we forget. We be trying to wake people up. We be taking on roles that we have no business taking on. We be trying to do the work of God in the wrong way. You do the work of God by cooking some good ass esoteric breakfast. I almost said breakfast. Some breakfast, but that's what it is. Breakfast. I don't even what's BREFFIS, like breakfast. You know what I'm saying? You cooking some good esoteric breakfast. But it's like, that's how you do God's job, right? You know what I'm saying? You don't do God's job by being responsible for waking everybody up at a certain time. Not everybody looking at you, and you don't have the capacity because you still got to deal with your shit. We forget, we still got to deal with our own shit. So you ain't got no business trying to wake people up, because then you, on a subconscious level, they start to look at you as their guide. And a lot of people think they want to be the guru, think they want to be the guide, but think they want to be God, but you don't understand what you're signing up for. And then the second you start to slack up, you're going to get hit with a wave of esoteric energy you was not ever built for. And that's when, again, but in this lifetime, it's going to turn into, oh, that's just my responsibility. And it's like crazy. It's like the same thing as birthing a bunch of kids without the resources to support them. They're, no matter what you do, they're gonna be looking at you like you fucked up. Because already being a parent with one child is crazy. You know what I'm saying? Because that's the thing. You know, and it's no manual for this shit. So a lot of times it's like we put ourselves in compromising positions and don't realize until it's too late. And that's how a lot of celebrities end up in situations where the only option they see left is like, damn, I gotta off myself, like, because too much going on. And now I'm in a position that I put myself in, so therefore I'm responsible for it. However, I want to get out. I don't want to be here. And that's a tough position for a spirit, because you can get down and locked in such an experience. And see, the thing is, your mind is always free, but it's just like sometimes, again, it takes a lot. You know what I'm saying? It takes a strong mind already without that kind of circumstance to get out of this shit and to peep game and see what's going on and start to push themselves out of that space. It already takes a tough mind. But imagine you put yourself in bullshit. So it's kind of like that. What you put in, you get out. You put yourself so deep in this shit, hey, it's on you. All right. We about to do the transit stuff for real. I got in here and started talking about some other shit, some spiritual shit. But that relates to this, because even like when they say, Pisces got a God complex, right? A couple signs got God complexes, but we all as spirits got God complex, because we in some way, shape, or form are, images of, representations of all possibilities. And that's the real God space, you feel me? So when it comes down to this shit, this is why a lot of times we keep caught up in what's going on. And so that's something to keep in mind when you're going through things you're going through. We all have to iron out a lot of these things going on within us so that we can make better sense of the world, or really makes better sense of ourselves, right? Because that's like what I said, that's like the first part. You got to make better sense of yourself so that now you can develop your own thoughts and feelings, and now you can put intention behind those. And when you put the intention behind those, this is when you work to get yourself into a better position, whether in this world or another world, you know what I'm saying? But this is when, again, you're preparing yourself for death. And it's not really death, it's transformation. You know what I'm saying? You're transforming from this body to another body. But your spirit, your soul, your individual experience, this is all tied to what's going on. Your spirit, though, is the active force, which was changing. Your spirit is what's going out in the world as a masculine force, right? And not to give, because don't give the spirit, but this is when people separate it. A lot of times is what they mean. Don't separate it too crazy and think too deep. The spirit is no thing. So don't create no heavy thought around what I'm saying as far as, oh, the spirit is masculine now. No, that's not what I'm saying. But what we do from a moon and sun perspective, just to understand like the way in which this is going, our emotional experience is one thing. That's our soul. That's our individual experience. And then as a spirit, not the spirit does this, as a spirit, right? from our individual soul as a spirit, we change. We go through experiences, gather information, change. You know what I'm saying? And then this on a more micro scale, or whatever you want to say it, right? As without scale, right? In the external world type shit. This is where again thoughts and feelings is. So we have a feeling first, and then based upon that feeling, we decide on a thought, a way of going about that feeling to either make it more comfortable, or in toxic situations run away from it or hide it to do away with it. That's when things become more toxic, more negative, as we try to fight those things. On a more positive end, we do what we need to do to make that feeling more comfortable. But honestly, really, we even do that with negative things, because again, you might have, again, like I was just saying, you might be in between, again, walking away from intuition, which is having clairvoyance, being clear and open to all possibilities of, it's like you open to all possibilities, and so the push and pull is way more subtle, but it's way more accurate to the space in which you are truly in and meant to be in. It's like more of a thing where it's like you decide on something, right? Because it'll be like these subtle pushes and pulls, but that experience is still individual for everybody. You know what I'm saying? I don't want to that experience is still individual for everybody, differently. You know what I'm saying? That's something else. I don't want to give you an idea of what it is, and your experience, it might be similar, but everybody got their own relationship with certain shit. But it off the bat though, at a very general level, is going to be a more subtle, you know what I'm saying, as far as you're not coming from it from a heavy emotional stance where you're expecting something, or you're it's just like too much emotion in it, too many feelings in it. And some people do it with thoughts, depending on your energy. So too many thoughts around things, it creates the same type energy where there's resistance now, because you done thought so hard about how you wanted it to come, how it's gonna look when it comes, that you miss the intuition. You miss the little subtle keys that be like, go here, and then you miss that because you're like too focused on the light. You created too much light in the area, so it's like that light starts to blind you from all the real opportunities, the real color spectrum and shit like that. It's like too many things now together. You got too many thoughts in one area, got too many feelings in one area, you're blind. So you got to lighten that up through clairvoyance, and you gain clairvoyance through meditation. Meditation is cutting all thoughts and feelings off, and maintaining that space. And the more you put energy into that, the more you start to again get that energy back as far as clairvoyance, and that helps you create more equilibrium, because that's a lot of times what happens. We are already a spectrum, right? But it's like in certain areas of our life, we accumulate certain feelings and thoughts depending on who we're dealing with, what we're dealing with, people, places, and things all involved. So, and then on top of all that, as a spirit, you're traveling. You're traveling. You're going somewhere. And some people go backwards. Some people are pushing forward. Some people have to go down and are feeling depressed. Some people are optimistic. But all these different things are just different spaces that we moving in. But we moving while balancing these thoughts and feelings in this external world. In the external world. In the internal, this is your spirit, like, deciding on where to go. But boom, 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 on this lower level, or not lower, but as without external, we juggling thoughts and feelings. And we need to clear, again, we got to remain light. This is what when we say, like, stay light, it's what we mean. Use light as a tool. So only juggle with what you need, and don't just juggle it. Do something with it. Throw it in this direction. Get it off you. You know what I'm saying? Don't hold on to so many thoughts and feelings. Get that shit off you. Let some shit go. Some feelings go. You know what I'm saying? Like, make sure you keep the right ammunition with you type shit. And make sure you use it as ammunition. Not, this is me. When you hold a gun, the gun is not you. You know what I'm saying? You ain't Nas. You know what I'm saying? If y'all know what I'm talking about, y'all know what I'm talking about. If y'all don't, hey, you know what I'm saying? You ain't Nas. But, and if you don't know, it was written. Anyway, you know what I'm saying? You're not your gun. So, and a gun, it's like you got to look at thoughts and feelings almost like kind of like weapons, but not weapons to harm other individuals. These are weapons to help you navigate this world full of all kinds of different things that will put you in boxes. You know, again, framework. You get, and then this goes back to society and shit. You get society, they're pushing different ideologies on you. They're put, again, different frameworks on you. You have to be able to peep that and then throw thoughts and feelings that aren't, you know, this is not you juggling thoughts and feelings and you letting the external world tell you who you are. So now you think you the gun, so you don't even want to shoot the, you think you the gun, and you think you something that expires. This is you holding on to. No, you need to see what, you know, when someone throws a framework at you, you got to know yourself enough to have enough confidence to grab the gun, know you got the right ammunition, the right thought and feeling to kill opposing forces that are trying to get you to change your mind. If anyone's going to change your mind, it's got to be you. You know what I'm saying? It should be you. But that's the thing. A lot of individuals, and we see it today, because a lot of people can't even really see things beyond what the framework is that they were given. So this becomes people who automatically become agents. And what they do is they carry out the same thing that they're trying to do. And these become the individuals in our lives that end up as our parents, end up as our surrounding, our peers, our siblings, whatever. And these be the individuals who start to put you in compromising positions based upon who you are, right? And you either gonna get scared, and this is you again. I care too much about who this person is to me, how they're gonna think about me. We all deal with these type of energies, these thoughts and feelings you hold it, but it's like, no, you need to learn how to load the gun. And then again, the right bullet for the job. And what I mean by that is like, you know, sometimes you can just use a tranquilizer. You know what I'm saying? And what I mean is like, say your mom is like just coming at you in a certain way. That's moms. Like, you know what I'm saying? Some people got different relationships with their moms. Look, you know what I'm saying? But at the end of the day, it's like that's your moms. You don't gotta completely, you know what I'm saying? You know, just do a little something to make your stance, but give her space to be herself too. You know what I'm saying? She don't know. She's not aware of certain things that you might be aware of. Again, you don't gotta wake the whole house up, or maybe the house not listening. Maybe you've been, as long as you, and to clear up that analogy, cooking a good esoteric breakfast is just you being yourself. So you being yourself, you show other people different ways of being, different ways of thinking. You being yourself, you become the representation of a whole new framework, because you got your own mind. And see, we all need to have our own minds, because that's what it's really all about. Because as other, like I said before, you knowing, the better you know yourself, the easier it is to let somebody else be themselves. And as you see someone else be yourself, in a lot of ways, you start to want to fuck with them. You start to be like, oh, that's a whole new way of doing things. It's like a different type of energy of appreciation, of, you know what I'm saying, showing love. Like, it's different. It's different when you get to that space, because then it's like, you know, and everybody a little different. Some people got other problems and stuff like that, and that's something entirely different. But again, as real spirits, when real spirits get together, that's why like a soul group is important. Thoughts and people who got similar thoughts and feelings, because when you see somebody got similar thoughts and feelings but they being themselves, that's them expanding the world y'all both occupy, expanding on that energy, and that creates a different kind of magic. This is where teamwork makes the dream work, because the dream can work because y'all got a similar one, a compatible one. And then y'all see the team in each other, because they're being an individual, you're being an individual. So y'all bring a whole different strengths to support the same idea, the same feeling. You know what I'm saying? And sometimes it gets, you know, yeah, that's really what it be. So at the end of the day, it's like, you know, man, okay, yeah. But yeah, you know what I'm saying? So this is what's going on. You know what I'm saying? This is what's going on. we have to keep that in mind. You know, say that it's a lot going on, but for the most part, um, yeah, this turned into something completely different. But just kind of talking about what's going on there, and I just seen an email that kind of threw me off for a second. But for the most part, to kind of get back on track, so you know, um, like we was just kind of talking about solutions, basically. You know what I'm saying? What to do about that? Yeah, what to do about that is working to be yourself better, and you know, we still all learning. So, but the first thing got to be getting our own selves right, getting our own minds right. Everybody got to get their own mind right, and we can support each other by um, first we have to support ourselves. We have to make ourselves visible, and then once we again we just got to continue to occupy the same space together. Because at this point, you got to really get with your soul group. When you with your soul group, your people, your tribe, whoever it is that you around, y'all share similar thoughts and feelings, right? And a lot of when I was talking about the age of Aquarius, right? A lot of this Leo energy is actually to put yourself in front of individuals so that so that you can kind of bring people together. You know, that's one thing. Like Leo and Aquarius axis, it's like they're very similar in certain ways because like they both kind of thrive on, or not thrive on, but the theme behind both of them is sort of being seen. Because even Aquarius is seen in a lot of ways due to their rebellious nature, or due to their individuality, um, due to their innovation, due to their mind and their fixated thought. Leos get a lot of attention based upon their fixated feeling. They express what they feel, who they are, and they're seen for that and they're recognized for that. Now, the thing about it is when you got these two energies working as far as like where we are as far as this time in society, or this time in whatever you want to call it, this age, for instance. A lot of this Leo energy is coming in opposition just simply because, first of all, you know, we got to be seen. You know what I'm saying? We need to be seen, and being seen helps attract the attention, or enough individuals. It's like by being seen, you bring the individuals there. You bring people together by through expression and through making it an event, making it a presentation, making it something to again, something to be seen, something to be watched. And, of course, it feels like entertainment, but at the same time, it's like it just gets attention towards it. That's when you actually put yourself in a position where now you have a group. Now it's easy to identify the individuals who's come to the show. And through these individuals, now you can work on the individual thought. Now you can work on organizing, like you know what I'm saying? Oh, are we all on the same fixated thought? Okay, cool. So let's start building on that. Do we all, let's start building on that. That becomes that Saturn part. Leo gets people in the seats. Aquarius collects the tickets at the door. You know what I'm saying? Or will seat them. Collects tickets at the door, seat them, and help set up the lights. And make sure the whole show functions so that people want to come back. And right now, like I said, we at a time where we have to come together to change a lot of these things. And by changing them, it's just us developing our own way of doing these things, and showing other individuals that, hey, there's a different framework out here. Y'all don't have to keep on doing things like that, because that always going to lead to, again, the system in place working. Because when you work along the system, the same things happen every time. It's not until you add the whole new, it's got to be a new game. You know what I'm saying? Y'all playing the game that's already been set. They already created the story and how it's going to begin and how it's going to end. And they start you at start. But once you add a DLC to the joint, right, a whole different package of the game, now you can do something different. But as long as you still operating off the same game, it's going to be the same thing. And this is why, again, back to the point when I was saying people voting and people, look, it's the same game. You've been the same way. You know what I'm saying? From, in these history books, and people always want to talk about history in terms of race and what they want to feel good about. But it's like, look at the point. The point is the game is not, you playing the wrong game, and you need to stop playing that game and act and do something different with your people. You know what I'm saying? With your individuals, and it goes beyond race to the point where it's like, that's just another lane in which you're now choosing to play this game, because this game is built off of false like, I'm not gonna say false tension, but it's ruled off of witchcraft and confusing people. Making this person think that and that person think that. But who's making everybody think the way? This religion is like this religion is like that. But who's differentiate, like, who's coming up with all these different choose this or that? Who told you you had to choose a Democrat or a Republican? Who told you that? Why not, oh, we in the same government, we build something that's beneficial for enough, like, and I know that that's a extreme simplifying. It's a logic person who's heavy on logic gonna look at that and be like, well, this is why you can't do that. But that's not the point. The point is the game itself. You know what I'm saying? But the solution becomes, look, we got to change these things by first changing ourselves, coming together better, and again, coming together and honing in on creating a way to support each other so that we can explore the possibilities of a new way of going about the 5 pillars. Business, education, politics, religion, and entertainment, politics, religion, and can't remember. Is it infrastructure? I forgot the last one. But again, these are the different things we dealing with. We have to experiment new ways to do this. And first thing we got to do is change ourselves, and then we got to figure out, we got to come together, and we got to work towards a new way of doing it. And the new way we do it, again, it don't have to be so heavy on, well, again, that's something we got to explore. And you see, the thing about it is, it's not going to be here until we do it. So you as an individual, you do your part by just showing up as yourself and doing what God told you to do. So when you tap into your true self, you move in ways in which it's undeniable. You know what I'm saying? Or not yeah, is that what I'm trying to say? It becomes undeniable as far as, like, that's your truth. So by default, what you manifest is more of that. Again, you being able to explore that more, and as other individuals see you be yourself, that not only inspires them, but hopefully they being themselves too. And this is where they can offer you something. And see, that's the thing we got to understand too about coming together. You can only offer someone your true self, like, you know what I'm saying, you or and even if you're just here to support, because some people are just here to support. And that's the thing, because they're on a certain level of their journey in which they're still trying to define who they are and who they want to be. And see, that's the thing. This is just one lifetime. So, like, a person's whole lifetime might be dedicated to, look, it's okay to be, I just want to support everybody who got something going on, because that's important too. Like, just how a company can't thrive without the workers in the factory. You know what I'm saying? Like, those people is important too, because their journey, again, they might not be ready to fully just jump out and do some of the things that people who've been here for a little too long, people you see getting up on the internet, like me, and even you, if you getting up making videos, you just doing something, because deep down inside, god damn, it's too much. Like, I gotta get out of here. Like, this is too much. I gotta do something. Like, that's the conclusion a lot of us come to. It's like, fuck this shit. I gotta do something different. Fuck it. I'm gonna put my information. I'm gonna put my mind out there. God gave me all these damn ideas. Look, I'm gonna start making stuff. You woke up early. You got up in the morning. You know what I'm saying? You got up in the rising. You was like, man, I'm hungry. I'm gonna go cook some breakfast, some esoteric breakfast to feed myself. If these mugs want to get some, they'll smell what I'm cooking, and I'll make sure I make enough for the whole family. But I know me, I'm ready to start my day, but I'm hungry. I'm ready to start my day. That's you knowing that, no, next lifetime, it's going to be different. And that's you making that decision. And that becomes the purpose. That becomes like the pushing and driving force that gets you up out of bed every morning. You know what I'm saying? And then, it's like that. It's like that. And then everybody else who, it's cool. You smelt the coffee. You got out of bed. You still groggy. You don't know what's going on, but you know that somebody kicking some real knowledge. You eating some real good breakfast. You like, damn, like I appreciate that. What can I do to help? You can do the dishes. Like, and that's where you as a spirit who, you can be like, you can do the dishes. You know what I'm saying? You could help me wash these plates out. Oh, can you whatever it is, and this is just metaphors, analogies, whatever, you know what I'm saying? But that becomes that groundwork that's so important. If you support somebody's cause, whether it's donations or you actually applying your mind to what they doing, sharing their shit, liking their shit, subscribing to their shit, these are small forms of helping them with the dishes after the meal. Like you ate good, do the dishes. And this is not like, telling people, oh, you gotta pay this person. Even just again, but this helps you understand like what's going on. Like this is how we should be supporting celebrities, not based upon Magic Square bullshit. Oh, this person, and like, you know what I'm saying? A lot of y'all glorify bullshit. A lot of people who's lost, they glorify bullshit. They'll pay for the bullshit. They'll support the bullshit. But when it comes to other shit, but at the end of the day, like I'm not really complaining about it either way, because that's one thing I'm not gonna do is complain, because I never looked at the world, and that's another way a lot of some artists and stuff like that end up fucking up their own mind. They start to feel like people are entitled to their story and their support. Like you're not entitled to no one's support. So, and then again, you having that intention on the back of your mind is the reason why you're not getting up, because people sense that. And that's the thing too about the emotions you wear and the emotions you choose to coincide with. You wear that shit. That becomes part of what you wearing. So don't put yourself in that position. Don't put yourself in that circumstance. Make sure that you are clear on what it is that you're doing. And again, this comes from knowing that clairvoyance. When you allow, and that comes from a space of you as a certain feeling, and you building up and accumulating in that feeling over time. Boom. Now you wonder why you're not manifesting the way you want, and you use everybody else as a tactic, but really the person who did it to yourself is you, based upon where you was space wise. So you got to just understand. And then there's other things that go along with that too, that determine, but see, those ideas come from being clear. You know what I'm saying? Those, because now God can talk to you. When you got so many, because that's one thing I learned, you know what I'm saying, or remember, and you gonna remember it right now. It's that sometimes, just like in our own life, your parents might have been talking about something, but depending on what's on your mind, you don't want to hear that shit. So you can't hear them. Same thing with God. You know what I'm saying? It's like God trying to tell you something, right? And I'm not talking about this in religious context of like a message or, but it's like certain thoughts that you receive. Like you can't read. You ever had a day where it was a really good day, and it's like you got something just made you. Again, this is like me talking about intuition. You just got a certain feeling and thought to do something, and you didn't think about it too hard. You just ended up doing it. You felt like, hey, I got to do this real quick. You did it, and then what manifested from that was something you couldn't imagine, but was miraculous or beautiful, or made you smile later in the day or in a week, and thought back to it. It was like, oh yeah, I did do that. I set myself up real good. Smallest forms ever. It could be just you simply putting a drink in the fridge, and you get that drink, and it's like, this is the best drink I ever had. Like, even small like that. That's how you can actually build up your magic and shit like that. Play with your mind and strengthen your ability to pick up on. But my point be, well, you got too many things on your mind, you become forgetful, and it becomes hard to pick up on things. So this happens with our connection with God and intuition, right? It's like we can't access that because we got too much on our mind, too many thoughts in the area, too many feelings. We're blind to any subtlety that will give us the right, because it's all like, it's hard to, it's inexplainable, yeah, whatever I said. It's not something you can always see with the naked eye. Like, these are things that's going on inside of us. But yeah, so this video became about intuition. I guess it's important for the moon and Pisces and shit. But I'm gonna go ahead and make a separate astrology video because it's already an hour and we was getting deep. But I want to make sure I hit every point that I wanted to hit. I believe I did. This became about intuition and how to really see this shit. And you just got to understand, again, knowing all this information, like when I'm kicking this, that's why I like to, well, everybody got to do it their own way. I like to leave space for people to come to their own conclusions on what to do with certain information. But the core of it is that, like, what the real essence of it is, like, we are in a society where there's frameworks pre-made to support the system. Now, what that means is, like, that's not something to demonize off the bat. Like, you might have your reasons, but again, that's you on the scale of now you picking a side, right? But understand at the core, like the middle level, that's just what's going on. And just like if you were to be the one running to something, you would come to the same conclusions a lot of times. Like, but as an individual, as a spirit, you can start, you already have different things in mind as far as how you would structure. Like, I don't even want to get to that far. You know what I'm saying? But at the core of it, like I was saying, that's what's going on. You know what I'm saying? They got frameworks out here to give everybody so that they can support the system that they built. And you living in that system, they look at you as you better support that. But you as an individual have the power to change yourself. That's the only thing you got control over. So change yourself first, and then change yourself to get around individuals who share thoughts and feelings that you share. That becomes your soul group, or connect with those individuals. Then it becomes a question of what are you going to do in the world. So doing in the world, right, is how you balance the system, because you're still operating within the system. Now, you can choose to go about it however you want. Some people choose to completely run away from the system, but it all depends about who you are. But understanding, you got to understand the difficulties that come with that. Some people get the la la land, like I know a couple years back, the whole Nature Boy shit. People get the la la land about it, where it's like they want to just run off to an island and think that, yeah, this is, but that's coming with so many other things. Look, it's not about trying to find a history of people who did something that sounds good to you right now because you're upset with what's going on already. You got to understand that's not the answer. The answer is like, what are you here to do in the present moment? Not go back to something. But even if you look at something in the past and it gives you a new idea, you can get inspiration from what happened before, but understand the nature of it. Even if you feel you was a part of those people, that's what happened before. Collect information on what you can do now, right? And some people are resistant to certain things. It's like you gotta really get to the essence of how you want to go about it, because at the end of the day, when things don't go as planned, or if things don't go as planned, you got to be in a space where you can accept yourself and be okay with that, because you did it based upon what you believed in. And even if you was wrong, hey, I was just wrong. But enough accountability to be like, well, whatever I put myself in is on me. You know what I'm saying? Because that is the only, that becomes the truth of it. Now, when you're going about this stuff, right? Yeah, so that becomes the truth of it, right? So, but again, like I said, the only thing you can do is change yourself. And by changing yourself, you're already going to put yourself in a position to be around other individuals, or you should put yourself in a position to be around other individuals who think and feel like you, right? Doing the same thing, doing different things. And this is where, again, you can expand your own understanding of what you're involved in. And you might change your mind, but that, again, allow yourself to go through those changes. And make sure that, again, you still put your spirit where it need to be at. And it always need to be around other individuals who think and feel like you, so that you can flourish. You can feel, comfortable enough to grow. I mean, sometimes the growth ain't even about comfortability all the time. But it's like, sometimes it's like, again, you can be in certain environments that don't help you prosper. You grow in a negative way. You grow, you know what I'm saying? Some people are like that. It's like you be in the wrong environment, you grow like that environment. And if that our environment really don't support nothing that you do, or how you think and feel, even if you do find your own soul group within that, y'all still gonna have difficulties that you just don't really, I'm not gonna say you don't need to have, but it's like change, you know what I'm saying? It's like it's gonna be tough for you. But yeah. And once you do that, y'all do energy work, build, and then from that, present a new framework. Because that's really what God is doing. Is like show what's coming from your mind. That's what, like, the things that God wants us to get up and do. A lot of things would be things that came from our own individual mind. You know what I'm saying? So, but it all comes from, again, our individual space. We develop that, and then we start to decide on what we want to do. You know what I'm saying? Some people decide to do nothing, but that's still a decision. You know what I'm saying? That's still a decision. And yeah, but anyway, that's deep. That's all I got for right now. I'm gonna go ahead and make a transit video. Much love, and I'll catch you on the next one. Peace.